What's up, people? This is Jonathan Lacey, and we're back with another episode of the Laced Up Podcast. I have a special guest here with me today, and if you guys have been watching Last Chance you guys will know who this man is. Coach John Beam is here joining me today. Coach Beam, do you mind actually, just telling a little bit of the people about yourself and where you're from and really, just about your time here at Laney.
Sure. Let's start off with the way I start everything off. Here we go. Two claps. Ready, ready? All right. Let's start it off right.
Yes,
So
sir.
basically, I grew up in San Diego, played my high school ball there,
Hmm.
played for a very, very successful high school coach and program. We made the playoffs every year. Usually we're league champs. Then I went to Mesa College, which is the junior college. Literally, our home games from high school were at Mesa College, so right around the corner. And I played there. We were very successful there. The offensive coordinator my first year was Mike Martz, who won the Super Bowl with the Rams. So I've been around good people. I got hurt during my second year, my sophomore season, and I did get a scholarship offer to like Eastern New Mexico, small school, and basically I couldn't take it because I had a second surgery.
Mm.
So while I was waiting to do my second surgery or have it, my coach Charlie Popa at Mesa said, "Look, you're not just going to sit around and feel sorry for yourself. Go over to Sarah High School, and I want you to, they're looking for an offensive line coach. Go do it." So I went over there and I coached for Mike Williams, who was just phenomenal coach, just really
Mm.
smart. He just started as the head coach, and we actually made it to the playoffs in my second year. So we did really good, and I learned a lot. And at that point, I really found out that I enjoyed coaching. I wasn't going to play in the NFL. Obviously, I'm a 6'1", 230-pound offensive lineman, so I'm not going to play in the NFL. So I might as well just start coaching. And so I coached 2 years there. Met my wife. She was going to UC San Diego. She was going to go move back up north to go to Cal.
Mm.
So I'm like, all right, let me just go up there and check it all out. So I went up there, ended up going to Cal State Hayward. It's now called Cal State East Bay. And there I met Mike Bellotti was the OC there. So, I didn't play, but I got to be around a lot of football. And then I just started coaching, and it was like I took 1 year off and I've been coaching ever since. I coached 2 years in San Diego and I did 38 straight years until pandemic hit. So, I took
Mm.
a bye during, my 41st year. So it's kind of what I've been doing. And I
Wow.
was at Skyline High School for 22 years before I went to Laney.
Wow. That's huge. And I also took because I was looking back at your track record too, and I just noticed like all of the accolades that this was really like you were saying, you've been around talent, really, and you've been blessed to be around that. And I think that's huge. And the fact that your coaching really started out at the high school level, and that kind of leads me to my next question. What did you really want to coach football? Were you looking to do that, or was that just something that just happened by chance?
Yeah, I think it kind of happened organically, like all of us, right? I mean, when I got done playing high school, I didn't know I didn't get any big time offers,
Hmm.
and again, I shouldn't at my size, but I think on one of my things I said in high school, man, I was just going to go be a tuna fisherman because in San Diego, right, you could go out and be a tuna fisherman, and you're 18 years old, you go out for 3 to 5 months, you come back, like 20, 25 G. This is in the 70s, like shit, like, hey, that's easy money, right?
Right.
Luckily, I didn't, you know, but I knew, I wanted to. I think, I kind of knew I wanted to stay involved with sports, and we didn't have all these different things that you can do now with sports and marketing and sports administration and
Hmm.
everything. And then, when I started coaching at the high school, I knew I was going to coach at that point anyways. Why wait? Why go, wait to try to play 2 years of, Division II football or whatever to come back and coach again? You might as well just get started, right? So
Right.
that's what
Of
I
course.
did. But the other thing I think too is like I tell people this, tell me if this makes sense, right? I get paid to wear tennis shoes and shorts and sweatsuits, right? That's what I get to do. I teach PE. I coach. I love it. And so, and you can, when you teach PE, you're teaching life lessons. You're teaching, how to get along, and you get to have conversations in class to help young people grow. Right? It's not like you're in a history class or a math class where it's all quiet. You're only talking about math. When you're P, you're talking to these young people about their lives, what's going on, right?
Hmm.
They might be homeless, they might just be an abusive situation or whatever, and they're sharing that with you, and you're able to, help them kind of make some changes or put them in a safe position. So I enjoy that. I enjoy that a lot.
Yeah, and honestly, I kind of I noticed too, like just really just with coaching football, that's I feel like it's you can't really ask for anything better, because like that's especially if you love football and you get to coach it, and like you were just saying, you get to coach in, wearing maybe polos, shorts, sweatshirts, and like you not everyone gets to do that, and I think it's a huge blessing. I feel that you get to really do the one thing that you love, and they say that
Absolutely.
once like once you find what you want to do, you'll never have to. Well, once you find what you love to do, you'll never have to work a day in your life. And I think like
Exactly.
that's awesome, man.
I
So
think you pick a job that you enjoy, right? I don't hate going to work. How many people hate going to work, right? Just
mhm,
because they got to pay the bills. Well, I've never felt that way. And so I feel like that's where, that's been a blessing to do this job, right? And then, you impact young people, right? I mean, what better
absolutely,
thing that you can do but impact the next generation?
absolutely. And I'll be honest with you, myself. So give you a little bit of background about me. My senior year, going into my senior year, I had a lot of big D1 schools looking at me, like Virginia Tech, um, James Madison. I had even Harvard recruiting me as well, Cincinnati. So I had some pretty decent sized like D1 schools looking at me. But once I had a stroke going
Oh,
into
wow.
my I want to say it was that it was literally it was the week after we had just finished two a days, and I just remember sitting there thinking to myself like, man, now like what the hell am I going to do now? And
So you're
I think
doing podcasts.
yeah, man, right, yeah. So right now, yeah, I'm podcasting right now, but ultimately, because I was talking to my wife about this too, I was just I really want to coach because I feel like I have the football knowledge. Like, yes, I was a good player, but I think I was a good player because I had the knowledge that came behind it. Like I was willing to watch film, I was willing to watch techniques and like why things worked the way they did. And
Yeah,
so,
but you could be a coach on, coaching up how to do podcasts, right? How to,
right.
there's so many different things that we can do with ourselves nowadays, right? And that,
Mm,
all you're trying to do really in a sense is to help motivate this next generation, right? Because they
for
need
sure.
motivation sometimes, right? And help direct them to options that they may have in their life that they didn't realize they had before.
Mm,
And you got life coaches, but that's what a coach is, right? We're a life coach before they even had that term, you know.
absolutely. Right. So yeah, and that's wow. And like I really didn't even think about it too, because I think, when we think of coaching, we just think of sports, athletics.
Yeah.
So
But there's so
yeah,
much
that's
more, right?
yeah, for sure. Especially today's world. Absolutely. Um, kind of just like moving on a little bit though. What I noticed too when I was watching, like this last season of Last Chance U, I can tell like your players, they respected you. And I could see that. And I was going to ask you, how do you get the best from your players?
Well, I think number one is, again, because I've been doing it for so long, how many people can
Mhm.
say they've coached 40 years, right?
Right.
And been successful at it. And, I've had, 20 plus players out in the NFL, right? Over
Hmm.
100, hundreds in essence, make it to Division 1 and get scholarships. So you have a track record. But I think one of the things I always tell them, look, I am never going to lie to you. I'm gonna be honest with you. You may not like what I have to hear or say, but I'm gonna be honest. And so I think that's one of the tough things. Kids don't always want to hear it, but you need to tell people, hey, you're not good enough, or you're not good enough to be here, but you can be here, and
Mm,
give them options, right? Or you're not working hard enough. Like everybody thinks they're gonna be in the league. Okay, what does it take to be in the league? there's a lot to it, right? Not just the physicals, the attributes, but it's the mental side of it, right?
for sure.
And it's the work ethic, right? So a lot of people don't, they're very, very talented. Like Ray's a prime example. Ray is very talented on the show, and he's got a chance to play on Sundays. His brother's going to get drafted this year, but Ray's got to remember he's got to work at it. You know, like it came easy in high school, easy in
Mhm.
JC, not as easy at the Power Five level, and it's going to be harder at the NFL. How much work do you put in? And it's not just saying I work, oh, coach, I worked this hard today. Okay. But you got to put 10 days, 20 days, 30 days, right? You got to put years of work together.
Consistency.
You can't just put a day here, a day there and say, hey, I worked. Now I'm ready to, I want these rewards. And it doesn't matter what you're doing. If I'm trying to be the best podcaster in America or the world, I got to work at it, right? I got to
Got
make sure my game is tight. Or if I want to be the best social worker or the best psychotherapist, I must want to be the best math teacher. People don't understand that you have to work at it. And if you love it, working at it should be easy, right? But you got to challenge yourself. You got to push yourself. That's my job. My job is to push them. My job is to believe in them, and my job is to push them and make sure that they understand that they have more to give than they give right now,
Mm.
right? What, you know, oh, you think you're working hard? That's not hard enough. We got to go harder.
See, and like honestly, that's a good way to put it too, because I know in our next generation coming up, I know unfortunately he's kind of starting to see a trend now where sometimes we, like for you, kind of what you were just saying, a lot of coaches today might have that kind of like that old school approach of just telling, not even really old school, I would say just the characteristics of a good coach, a great coach, and telling the kid, hey, this might not what you want to hear, but this is going to help you in the long run. And a lot of kids in today's world will really turn their back, and it was like, oh, he's hating on me, he's like discriminating me, and this and that and the third. And it's like, no, man, like, like as a coach, I think I can speak for you saying that if you didn't love your players as much as as you say you do, you wouldn't tell them what they wanted to, what they wouldn't want to hear, right?
We're given today, to me, we've given kids want so much instant gratification, right?
Mhm.
You know, because they want likes on their social media or whatever. They
Right.
want stars. You know, all this star stuff. Look at all the five stars. Do they all make it to the league? Do they all make, are they all Hall of Famers?
Mm,
You know, who puts these labels on, right? The label doesn't measure how hard you work. I got like CJ Anderson went to 3 Super Bowls. He was a free agent, for God's sake.
that's
He
crazy to
played
think about.
JC, you know. So what stars did he have? You know what I mean?
Right.
Sterling Moore,
Absolutely.
he came to us. You know, he didn't even start at the first game for us as a sophomore, right? He was in the rotation like a nickel back. By the end, he was started. Then he went to, he had one Division I offer at SMU. Then he was a free agent. He ended up 8 years in the NFL and started as a rookie in the Super Bowl for the Patriots. Again, how many stars did he have? But he didn't need those stars. What he needed is someone like myself to believe in him and show him what needs to happen so he could achieve his goals. But today, everybody wants, we're so busy, just giving these kids these accolades. They haven't done anything. Some kid told me like, well, I'm the top 10 in the 12-year-olds in basketball. Okay, how does everybody 12 years old? Who do you even know plays basketball at 12? Shit, you know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, come on now.
Absolutely.
We're already ranking these 10-year-olds and 12-year-olds, please.
And I think that is pretty ridiculous too, because I know I was actually watching a video too yesterday. My father-in-law, he actually tagged me in this video where the seventh grader, he dropped 40 points in the AAU game, and I'm just like, okay, that's cool. But I said, is he going to be able to do that though by the time he turns 17, 18 years old, against people who actually know how to play defense, and the people that have come a longer way to develop. And like it's kind of like you were saying with CJ, it becomes a thing of just putting your head down and working, because now that this kid is getting attention, he can either go one or two ways. He can put his head down, keep working, or he can let all of that just fill up his ego to, you know, to say, oh, I'm the top seventh grader in the country and blah, blah, blah. And it's
You're
like,
not even Dame Lillard, right? I mean, shoot, look at Steph Curry. Both one went to Davis and one went to
mhm,
Weber, and arguably they're the two best point guards in the league right now, and will
absolutely
be for a while, right? I mean, come on, MVP candidates, and what stars did they have,
not a,
right? So again, we forget about don't worry about playing, worry about developing.
for sure, for sure. And I think that's a big thing that kind of and it falls back on the coaches too now of what they allow. Because I notice back home sometimes a lot of the coaches like they'll try to run the team through one player, and that one player might be great, but you're forgetting about the other 30 kids that you have to coach. And of course, like these parents are paying their money, just like, hey, I want you to coach up little Johnny, but little Johnny's not getting the same treatment as Tim. So,
Well, and then some of them aren't even being coached up, right? They're just thrown out there to play.
mm,
And again, we have to develop them. It's not about just running up and down and playing on the court or on the field. We have to develop you. Like right now for football, this 7-on-7 is becoming big time, right?
for sure.
But these quarterbacks have no rush. No one's trying to sack
Mm,
them. They're not really reading coverages, not reading blitzes you know and so what are they doing, and like, don't get me started. I think we get away, we want results versus let's put process, let's develop you.
for sure. Absolutely. And that's the best way to put it, honestly. Um, so I know with your time, last chance you constantly have a camera in your face. Camera is always in the faces of the players. And I was personally just wondering, and I think others probably are too, how was it constantly just being put on camera and then seeing yourself like you got to see the season. How was that? Like, did you like what you saw, or like what did you think?
It's tough. I think it's tough. Number one, even when you hear you, well, I don't know nowadays because you guys hear yourself, but when I was a kid growing up, the first time you hear your voice like on a tape recorder, you go, "Oh my God, that's not me. My voice sounds like that." So now think about, you see yourself and what you're doing, and so I think that's always tough. I mean, number one is that they descend on you, right? So you start off, you're used to your normal day, and all of a sudden now there's 30 people that you see every day that you never saw before, and
Hmm.
they have cameras and they have mics, and they mic you up as soon as you come. So they have 3 camera crews on campus every day,
Jeez.
but they might have 10 guys or 12 guys mic'd up. And so every mic, someone's listening because they'll move the camera to wherever something interesting is happening, right?
Yep.
Because it's not scripted. So all of a sudden, if there's something in the locker room they heard that sounds good, a conversation, or maybe I'm having a conversation with a player or my staff, they may want to come and do that, listen in, and so or film it, not listen, but also film it, so you don't know what's going on. And then on game day, there's 10 crews, right? So there's a lot. And so at first it is pretty invasive, but after about a week, you get used to them and they become part of your family because they hear your stories that we're
Yeah.
talking about. But two of them grew up in Oakland. And so
Mm,
they start telling you their stories, and they know some of the same people I have coached or, and I've been around. And so you start to share those stories and they become part of your family. And then all of a sudden they leave, right? And you go, for 2.5 months, you've seen 30 plus people now gone. Like, oh snap, it's kind of hard, for a day.
right.
You're like, man, it's too quiet, And then, you don't hear nothing, and you're just going about life. And then of course the pandemic hits, right?
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden the trailers come out. You don't even know the trailers are out there yet, right? They just showed up and all of a sudden you're like, oh, snap, right? And then in my case, they started doing the press thing. And so
Mm,
10 days before the show came out, I actually got to watch it. They wanted me to watch it because I did this big article in the New York Times, Sunday New York Times. And so, it's a
mm,
full page article in the New York Times. I mean, that's pretty impressive, right?
for sure.
And so I watched it. I know my wife and I were kind of like not totally great about some of the stuff seeing yourself originally, but then you see my daughters liked it or whatever, but then you just see how other people saw it
Right.
and they liked it. And like, okay, I get, I mean, at that point, it is what it is, right? It's out there. It's, there's things that I wish they would have shown. They filmed, they didn't show, put it in context, but others they did. So, but you leave it to, you trust Greg, you trust Daniel, you trust Lucas, you trust Terry, all the folks there, and you trust that they, that you put your trust in them, that they're going to give a good show, that they're going to portray you as they're portraying you as they see you. Now that's
Hmm.
the hard part, right? Because you may think of yourself as somebody totally different, right? But
Right.
that's how they see you. And so you just go for it, and you sign off those papers that you don't get no editing. You don't get to, you don't go, no, cut that scene out. And so, like I
Yeah.
try to tell people, like you watched 8 hours of this show. You think you know me from 8 hours, right?
Right.
But they shot 6 to 7 hours, 6 days a week for 2.5 months to come with 3 cameras, and they showed you 8 hours.
That's
Some miracle that like, man, what they leave out, what they what they got. And so you
right.
just go, okay. And they still don't, they're filming other kids. We don't know who the main characters are going to be, right?
Hmm.
And they just put the different stuff together, and this is what they turn out with. But again, they're professionals, and they got an eye, and you trust them that they're going to do it. And at the end of the day, it's won some awards. They'll hopefully win some more awards. But I think the biggest awards for me has been that people that have known me for 30, 40 years said, oh, that's you. That's how I see you. So I go, all right, you know. So I guess it's okay.
And that's awesome though. Like if you have people, saying that that know you really personally like that, I think that's and they're saying that hey, that is actually you. I don't see anything where you're trying to put on a front in front of a
Yeah,
camera.
exactly.
Yeah, that's
Exactly.
awesome. That's awesome, man. And that's all you can really ask for. Um, but like, I asked that question though because I remember in season two when Eastern Mississippi was on there and Coach Buddy was talking about how, he said that when he saw himself in season one, he said he hated that person and he was just like, I don't, he hated the way that he was portrayed. And I'm not going to go too deep into this, but like I just knew that he wanted to change, but it's like not too much. Ended up changing, but I think like for your case though, and that's it's awesome to hear though that you were really satisfied with what you saw and what was portrayed.
It was hard. Don't get me wrong. I mean,
For
after
sure.
we watched the first, I think we watched the first 2 or 3 episodes the first night,
Hmm.
and I remember coming home and we were just silent. We didn't say nothing. I felt like after a loss, you know what I mean? Like, oh my God, that's us. And why didn't they show this? Why didn't they show? Then you watch some more and you go, okay, this makes sense. But like I said, at the end of the day, you don't have control. We can only be us. And so if that's
Hmm.
how they see who I am, then that's who I am in their eyes. I know who I am.
Right,
And am I
exactly.
strong enough to, to feel that way? Like, hey, I mean, I hold my head up high. How about that?
For sure. For sure. And that's awesome. That's so awesome, man. I'm happy to hear that because I know a lot of the coaches, especially like with Coach Brown too. I know I don't know. Some of them kind of just like I really don't like the way I was portrayed, but that was awesome though. So I know you were talking about CJ Anderson. If you've
Mhm.
coached, who are some other NFL players that you have coached? Because I'm sure it's a lot of the people here would really like to know like who's actually come through Laney like that. So
Well, both is Laney and Skyline, right? So
yeah.
Marvell Smith, played 10 years for the Steelers and started as a left tackle for them, right? Then he won 2 Super Bowls, right? Frank Summers, and Marvell was a second round draft pick. Will Blackwell pulled for the Steelers. He was a second round draft pick.
Mhm.
Frank Summers, Frank the Tank, was a fifth round draft pick by the Steelers. Do you get the connection here?
Yeah, for
Steelers
sure.
like my kids, right? Because they don't play. My guys
Hmm.
don't play, so they were all NFL guys. Sterling Moore, um, Derek Gardner, the DB coach, my DB coach, that you see in the show, right? He played for
Yeah.
the Falcons, right? So
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
um, and then let's see, there's been other like Chuck Jacobs played for the
Hmm.
Niners and for the Ravens. Talib was in camp with the Panthers. So Devon Best played 6 years for the Dolphins.
Mm,
So there's it's been a lot.
that's awesome, man. Wow. And I'm sure, like, for you as the guy that was like the head coach that coached these guys up, I'm sure that probably it's rewarding to think like, all right, these kids, they made it. I helped them get to where they wanted to be, and I'm sure
So
that's probably.
one of the things to keep in mind, right? I tell people, oh, you did this, you did. I didn't do anything.
Mm,
Those kids did it, right? Those young
right.
men did it. All I did was be there for them, right, and believe in them, right? So these guys, oh, I got this guy in the NFL. Did you? You got him in there? Shit, that ain't my DNA. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? I
right.
got two
Right.
daughters, right? So don't give us too much credit or too much scorn in essence, right? But like um and like it's just like with Marvell. Marvell never played really football until he got to Skyline. He's a lineman, big dude,
Hmm.
right? So, I encouraged him highly to get in the weight room by dragging him off the bus every day until he got learned how to lift. But he did it. He lifted. He could have quit. He could have not came back with me. You know what I mean? You're
Hmm.
dragging a 6'5" kid around. It ain't that easy, brother. It ain't that
For
strong. You
sure.
know what I mean? So he wanted to be there. People want to do things, but they don't realize that they're able to or capable of, right? And so you have to
Mm,
encourage that, right? Um, but at the same time, I hear these guys all the time, coach, oh, I did this, I did this. You did? Okay.
right. Try,
What you did was interesting, right? Okay, you did that. you know,
yeah.
I mean,
Abs.
my biggest thing with CJ was that when he came out of high school was that a lot of people were considering him to be a better DB prospect than a running back
Mm,
prospect. He only played 1 year running back. He was a quarterback most of his time at high
yeah.
school.
Hmm.
And my deal was, hey, what do you love? Do what your heart's at. So I want to be
Mm.
running back. Okay, great, do it. Right? You hear what I'm saying? That was it. So
And see, I think a lot of coaches, when they give a kid the choices of what they actually like, the I guess the realistic choices, because CJ, you can tell, like, all right, he's an athletic kid. He could play at multiple positions, really. So, and he knew in his heart that he's a running back, and that's what he wanted to do. So I know you see a lot of coaches, though, that when they have a kid who's arguably, you know, just as athletic as the starting running back, or maybe even more athletic, the coach will still come, like, sometimes just leave. He will leave that kid where he is, just because, oh, I don't like, either he wants to build around that player, or he wants to just, I don't know, like, kind of just shoot down the dream, like, okay, I can't see you as a running back or a quarterback, wide receiver, like the sexy positions, really.
yeah,
So,
and you just, and there's no rhyme or reason why, but you just, if a kid really has their heart in a position, they're going to work harder at that position. You know what I
hmm.
mean? If you force them to, they'll do it because they trust you, but they may not buy into it 100%. They don't, do all the things necessary. So I think those are some of the things to keep in mind. When we had Shawnee, Ray's brother, he'd always been
Hmm.
a receiver. Well, the problem was he didn't catch every ball. So it's hard to be a big time receiver if you don't catch every ball, brother. So go play DB. You know what I mean?
Right, and
And
see
now as a
that.
6'4" DB, guess what? You catch every occasional ball, and now you're a big time DB because But if you knock them down, you go, hey, that's all. That's right. That's why you're not a receiver anymore, brother. You knock them down.
Right, and that's what I'm saying, like, the realistic expectations for for a kid like that, that's awesome. And so it just makes you kind of wonder, though, like for some of the coaches out there, because I know my freshman year of high school, I remember I played with this quarterback. He was um him and I played all through little league, all the way through middle school, up into high school, and the coach at the time wanted to run the team through him, and I just remembered, we had all these other just key pieces that we could, if we put the ball in their hands, no one was going to stop them. And he only had 6 plays, 6 plays that was specifically just for this one player. And each when we went against teams, they knew where the ball was going to go, and it's just like we're limiting ourselves to really that one player when we have all these other explosive pieces around us that you're not even giving a shot, man. And it's just, I don't know. It was him and I. We kind of, I'll be honest, him and I butted heads, but I think I ended up transferring, I went to another school, and the coach I had there, he was a high-headed Italian guy, but Coach Rocco was definitely he is probably one of the best coaches I think I've ever played for.
What's
And
Rocco's last name?
so oh no. So his name is actually Frank Rocco.
Oh,
Yeah, he
I
played
got
at
a friend that's a really good high school coach named Rocco.
yeah,
Coach at St. He was the head coach at St. Thomas Aquinas in Fort Lauderdale, which is one of the
ooh,
powers.
you know, he coach cuz Coach Rocco, he actually had a brother too that he coached at Liberty University. His name was Danny Rocco.
Okay.
And yeah, so yeah, Frank, he he played at Penn State for a little bit. He played under Coach Paterno. He actually played for the Patriots for a little bit. So when I went there, he basically told me, he said, "I know you don't know me well, but he said, I promise you, if you just trust me, I'm going to help you, to get where you want to be." And I trusted the man, and sure, he was tough on me, but that's because he could see how talented I was, and that's all I think you can really ask for a coach is, like they're tough on you. It's because they know that they can see the what you possess and the potential. So I think I just kind of embrace that from about
Yeah. I mean, I think it's the only thing you can do. So great. So I
so
got about 7 more minutes, just letting you know.
yeah, for sure, absolutely. Yeah, and I'm getting close to wrapping it up
No,
anyway,
no, I
but
just want, yeah, this is good. I like,
yeah, I appreciate you doing this, man. Um, for so this is like the second to last question. Would you do the last chance if they were to bring back another football season of it? Would you do it again?
most likely, I
Mhm.
mean, I think that, yeah, I think we would do it again, definitely.
Okay.
I think what it did was show the struggle that our kids in California go through, right? So Mississippi and
Yeah.
Independence, Kansas, right? They're on scholarship, right? They got dorms, they got,
Right.
meal halls and all that. So I think letting people see how we do things in California, there's more JCs in California that play football than the rest of the country combined.
I noticed that.
And so I think just to see how the California struggle is really eye opening to a lot of people, right? And I think it's an awareness to what's happening. And we touched on social justice. We touched on mental health, right? We touched on the housing insecurity and food insecurities, right? That
For
you didn't
sure.
see anywhere else. But at the same time, you saw a lot of people graduating, right? A lot of people moving on. Maybe our football wasn't as great because we didn't win as games that we should have because we had so many issues with our injuries and whatnot.
Hmm.
But it was okay. That's still the real deal, right? So I
Right.
like to let people see we can win some games.
And so that's awesome though, because I think, like you were just saying, you guys were actually the first, junior college to actually be like that show you that junior college grind, because a lot
Hmm.
of these kids, they had like an actual working job too, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
to pay bills, right?
Right. Right. Exactly. So
And they
like
got
you,
one's married with two kids, and working, right? So
yeah.
I
So
mean,
that's
there's some real deals going on.
absolutely, and I think a lot of people, it probably threw them for a loop. Is like, what? Like these kids are doing, they're balancing that. Yeah.
Yeah,
So that was really cool to see. And then I think, like it's really I think a lot of people get California, they get them mixed up for like a white collar state, when in retrospect, eh, you got to work.
yeah.
Like
Well, they haven't been to Oakland, have they?
exactly, exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Like you can't judge a book by its cover, man.
Yeah. Now we're like most of the teams, a lot of the teams we play, like American River, that's a pretty suburb. San
Mhm.
Mateo's a suburb. Even the City College, they're different. We're the grind. We're the grind of life, and so we live on it. Why we embrace it.
For sure,
But that's why Oakland does so well. So how many kids have come out of Oakland and gone to the NFL? How many kids gone to the NBA? Right?
plenty.
These how many are rappers or whatever singers,
Hmm.
and the deal is that there's such a grind out here, right, that you have to take care of this. We call it town biz, right? No one's handing you anything,
Hmm.
nor do we want anybody to hand us anything.
So saying you guys have incredible work ethic out there. So like I respect that 100%. Um, so my last question for you: what is your coaching philosophy?
Man, I wish I knew.
Hmm.
I think when you look at just football terms wise, I believe defense wins championships, right? I think offense wins games, puts seats, butts in the seats, but defense wins championships. And you'll see we play hard nose, right? We're going to run the ball, we're physical, and then special teams have to be special. You know what I mean? We got to make something happen. But overall, my thing is this, right? Is that look, we need to believe in these young people. We got to give them, opportunities to be great. We got to hold them accountable, right? We got to make sure they show up every day on time. And we need to raise the bar higher and higher, right? That you will get a
Absolutely.
degree, that you will graduate. We're not just here to play games, right? There's an alternative motive to this. The game is the carrot, right? That's
Mm,
but now the education is what counts, right? You can't go on if you make all this money in the NFL or wherever. You got to have an education, understand that someone ain't stealing your money.
right.
You know,
Right.
handle your business. So I think that's the other thing. And then at the end of the day, so Marvell, who I talked about a lot, so Marvell plays 10 years with the Steelers, two Super Bowls, Pro Bowl, the whole nine, right? Well,
Right.
he's retired. He's 32 years old. What do you do now,
Right.
right? So if you still want to, if you've got a degree, which he has, he can make sure his money's doing the right thing, so that now he can choose to work or not. He gets to choose that. That's his choice now.
Mm,
He works because he wants to, not because he has to, right?
that's huge. That's huge. um, Coach, I want to say this, man. Thank you so much for really giving me the opportunity to really just interview you and just chit chat, man. Like this means a lot to me, and I know like you guys out there at Laney, I wish you guys the best, and really I just really I want nothing but success for you guys, and I really mean that from the bottom of my heart, man. So thank you
So
for
I think, thank you. So I'm honored that you wanted me on your show, right? I think that we need to understand that, right? These are two-way streets, right? I ain't
Mhm.
big time. I'm still the same guy. I put on my tennis shoes, I lace them babies up, just like, you lace them up in your show, right?
For sure.
And my job is no different, right? We just do the best we can. We help each other out. That's what we do. So thank you for thinking that I can help you. But I appreciate all that you do. Keep it up, right? And stay warm out there, New Hampshire, brother.
Yeah, it's a little chilly up here, man, but I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
All right. Stay safe.
All right,
Send
man,
me
you
a
too.
link when you get it up and so I can put it on my social media.
Absolutely, man. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Take care.
You too. All right, so guys, um, like that, Coach John Beam, he's a really awesome guy. So that was really cool to have him join us. So, and if you haven't also seen Last Chance You, go and check it out. It's one of the best series out there on Netflix right now. So do yourself a favor, go look at it right now. And without further ado, guys, that is another episode of the Laced Up Podcast. And if you're listening to this on Apple or Spotify, make sure you like, or no, yeah, make sure you follow, subscribe, so that way you can be up to date on what's going on the Laced Up Podcast. And make sure if you're watching this on YouTube, leave a like and subscribe. And without further ado, guys, peace, love, and we out.